In the last episode, David Rosen took us to a place in which smart devices are fundamentally changing the technology landscape and challenged IT leaders to think beyond software as the key source of innovation in the market. Today, David is going to share his secrets to being a modern innovator and the 3 things that you need to do to get on the hardware is the new software path. I'm Charles Araujo, and this is the TransformIT Show, presented by the Intel IT Center. How important do you think it is for IT professionals, IT executives to be part of leading this charge of coming to the organizations and saying, hey, you know what, this idea of hardware being a key differentiator going forward is something that we need to be a part of bringing to market?
You know, that's a good question. I watched IBM in the mid-'80s develop the organizational roadmap and a book about this thick that told CIOs how to become CEOs. Basically, how to manage a business, how to manage the IT part of the business as a business and get to the boardroom table. I think they did a great job. I think as anything, an IT executive needs to understand the power that the information, the technologies, that the devices, that the knowledge that is enabled of their employees and their workers can be coalesced and brought together to improve speed to market. So I would think any opportunity to get involved in understanding the revenue side of the equation specifically and how that can be cut down in time is a very important task for any CIO. Get involved in the business and support it, and you'll be at the board table and you'll stay there.
Again, what I think is fascinating about this is that I'm always interested in where the future of technology is going and how it's going to change our job as IT professionals, and to your point, increasingly just as business professionals, because technology and business is so interwoven into everything today. And so what I'm curious about is if you look back on your career, what are the maybe personal traits, personal attitudes that you brought to your life and your different positions that have kind of allowed you to see this and allow you to kind of understand where everything is going that maybe people can adopt into their own lives?
So there's been a couple of things that I think have helped me be successful. One is, the most important thing is be a good listener and understand where people are coming from and give them running room to sometimes make mistakes. And that I think is important. A second thing that's, I think, helpful is I love to watch people do things that they never thought they would do before. And sometimes they don't know that they have it in them, or they've never been given the opportunity. So it's very careful to understand, does someone have that possibility to do something new, and what is it going to do to them, and is it going to make them a better person? And in some cases, to know when someone's not in that position where they want to do something new. But one of my paradigms is if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got and more. And the reality is if you stick with that, you're not going to like the outcome. So I love empowering people to do things. The third attribute is, but if you're a good listener, you'll hear opportunities. And you'll see some underlying tones, and you'll see common tones. When I started looking at this TechxFoundry and the possibility that giving people the ability to solder their own circuit boards and program their own Arduinos to come up with a whole new product for market, I never thought that would be possible. I never thought that would be interesting. But if you look at where the investment dollars are going in the marketplace today, it's evolving from software to hardware. And the investment in technology hardware today is growing faster than the investments in software. So I listened and I heard, and then I started validating it with some of the data that I was finding in terms of where the investment dollars are going in the marketplace. And that's a more important thing. The fourth thing is what we all get sucked into, which is dangerous, is technology is really sexy and interesting, but sometimes it's just technology in search of a market. And you have to be aware of those situations. Always step back and understand who gets value out of this and what good does that do them. Are they going to have a better life? Is it going to be a healthier life? Are they going to be able to make more money? Are they going to be more successful at what they're trying to accomplish? Or is it just more of the same that's not going to help them? Understand what the value proposition is that your products bring to the market. And those 4 things I think I've always taken with me and throughout my career, and always tried to understand how to get people to do those things and execute on them.
And I think something else as you were talking that occurred to me, that when we were talking in our pre-interview, that part of the reason that we're here, that you have done this partnership to get access to this facility, is that there's this need that we have to kind of get our hands dirty, that we need to get back to that, of it's not thinking about this just theoretically,
Right.
but really rolling our sleeves up with it. And I think that's another really important aspect to it, right?
So yeah, exactly. You have to take it out of the theoretical, and if you look at the product development process today, the product development process rewards you when you get your prototype built and you can validate the effectiveness of your product. So the faster you get the prototype, the greater the value of your product can be, or you decide to kill it. So if you were to approach me with a business plan and just have a great idea, the value I'd give that business plan would be $250,000 at most, maybe $500,000 at most. If you approach me with a prototype that says there's a market for $100 to $150 million worth of product in this market, your valuation would be a couple $1 million with the prototype. So what this is all about is taking the theoretical and actually making it real. Our partnership here with NJIT is really to help the people who are theoretical here and help the students and the faculty become more experiential in nature, because that's the way to prove whether something's going to be helpful or not, or whether something has a great value proposition. When you can see it working, you can feel it, touch it, and you can measure the results that you're getting and say, wow, this doubled my efficiency or my effectiveness or my throughput, or you know what? It's not much better than what we're currently doing today, so I don't need it. I'm not going to buy it. But you get to that answer faster than just trying to continue to answer the problem theoretically. So this is all about the whole maker movement that's turning into commercial products and giving them a chance to actually build a product, go from concept to market quickly, and minimize or nullify any capital costs.
Well, and I think that's important for IT professionals on 2 levels. One, they might need to do that in the actual product development, to participate in the product development cycle of their organizations directly. But even more, just philosophically, if they're trying to embody this culture of innovation, then that idea of getting their hands dirty becomes critical to that process.
Right. And that's a really good point, Charlie. You've also got a couple of other things happening here. You've got the new millennium students coming out of school, going into their first jobs. They have a different set of expectations about how long they expect to be at any one place. And so part of this we'll do is to give people the opportunity to say, look, let's try this for a year. We have a mission to try and get a new product to market, or we're doing a skunk works in a large company. We have several large companies that want to come in and realize that if they build their new product in the place where their legacy teams exist, that it's going to slow them down from getting to market. So now even the larger companies are realizing, I'm going to bring my skunk works into a facility like this so they can build, they can collaborate with other people and get to market quickly. Because I've been in situations where you're trying to roll out a new product and the legacy team people, even though they're not trying to be malicious, are doing everything they can to stop you. And you don't need the internal people stopping you, much less your competitors.
So final question, want to bring this to a head. If somebody has been watching this interview and says, wow, this has really opened my eyes, this whole hardware, the new software thing could really change everything, and I want to sink my teeth into that, what is the one thing that they can do tomorrow to kind of put themselves on this pathway?
So one is learn Chinese, because their market is growing faster than our market. There's a great market opportunity for US products to go into their marketplace. Follow the money, follow the demand, and you'll find happiness. 2, I would get more technical. I would learn, I would go and take a soldering Sunday class from a makerspace in your community and understand how 2 soldered wires together and a capacitor can turn on a buzzer. or understand and how somebody has to think through that, and then also think, how can I do that with software, turn the buzzer off and on, that's going to change a product idea and come up with that. There's huge challenges in front of us, like how do we go to Mars and stay alive? Right now, there's some people getting together for one-way missions to Mars. I think there's an opportunity to make it a return trip mission, but there's a lot of new technologies that are going to be required to help us survive. So the same way that NASA created opportunity for our generation and created plastics and ceramics for brakes and dehydrated foods and things like that, these new missions are going to create new opportunities for products. So the third thing I would do is I would not frown upon letting your kids take the shop class or the vocational classes along with their basic education in high school. I would say it's okay to learn about electricity. It's okay to learn about plumbing, because if they're going to be involved in any part of the supply chain of manufactured goods, that hands-on experience is going to give them so much greater capability to support new products and support innovation in the future than just being theoretical.
Fascinating advice. I think it's a really interesting perspective, and I'm sure that people are going to take a lot from this. So thank you very much for being on the TransformIT show.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate it.
If this conversation with David didn't get your mind spinning, well, you might just want to go back and watch it again. David challenged many of the common beliefs around the source of innovation in our technology-fueled world, and believes that hardware, smart devices, and the bidirectional play of data that they create will be the center of innovation and competitive advantage in the near future. For IT organizations that have been almost exclusively focused on driving advantage through software, that's a game changer. But even if you don't think that this applies in your industry, his advice on how to embrace an innovative mindset was critical. Listen, understand people, create freedom to fail, empower people to try new things, seek out and find the common themes and connections between otherwise unconnected things, and never lose sight of the fact that technology is only of worth when it provides real value to real people. That's a timeless recipe for success. Lastly, he challenged us to move away from the theoretical and to get our hands dirty, so to speak. It's the only real way to learn. I believe that this is critical advice for any future leader. Let us know how you plan on heeding it using the Twitter hashtag TransformIT or by leaving a comment here on the episode page. Also, make sure you check out the resources that both Intel and we at the IT Transformation Institute have made available for you. You can check them out at www.intel.com/IT-center and on our website at www.transformingit.org. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the TransformIT Show. I'm Charles Araujo, and together we can change the world of IT.